Another question we often get is around allocation limits to hedge funds across the various investment products. So let me run you through those very quickly. In fact, the only place that there is kind of any regulatory limitations imposed is in the pre-retirement space. So anything that is subject to Reg 28 will have limitations. And those limitations are pretty straightforward. 2 levels of them though. So the first one is to say that in a pre-retirement portfolio, the max exposure you could have to hedge funds is 10%. But there's a second level to that to say that the max exposure you could have to any single fund, so any single fund by a single fund manager, is 2.5%. And then if you were to have exposure to a fund of funds, that is a maximum of 5%. But I think that the main takeaway here is the limitation on that 10% exposure. So in the pre-retirement space, most you can have exposed to hedge, 10%. However, then in the post-retirement space, and obviously in the discretionary space, there is no limitation, and that's great because that means that you can then put as much hedge fund exposure into the portfolio as you think is appropriate for your client. And I think specifically in the living annuity, so post-retirement environment, hedge funds can add some real value to an overall client portfolio, specifically around managing that sequence risk, making sure that they get that consistent return profile they need when they're drawing an income.